Hi everyone, welcome to Root Cause CSI, where we don't just talk about diagnosis, we investigate what's driving them. Because symptoms are signals, and healing begins with understanding what's happening beneath the surface. Insulin resistance is not only a root cause of PCOS or polycystic ovary syndrome, but it is also connected to many of the chronic conditions we are seeing today, from metabolic issues to cardiovascular risk and long term changes in how the body regulates energy and hormones. And yet, it is one of the most overlooked and misunderstood processes in healthcare today. Many people think insulin resistance is the same as diabetes, but it's not. Diabetes is often the later stage. Insulin resistance can be present quietly for years, even decades, like 10 to 15 years, before that diagnosis is ever made. So let's start with the basics. Insulin is a hormone whose job is to move glucose or sugar from your bloodstream into your cells, so it can be used for energy. But in insulin resistance, your cells don't respond to insulin the way they should. So your body compensates by producing more insulin. And for a while, this works. Your blood sugar may still look normal, and your loves may come back, and you are told everything looks fine. But behind the scenes, your body's already working harder than it should. This is why many people feel symptoms such as like fatigue after eating, fatigue when you just woke up, brain fog, cravings, or weight changes, even when their labs are normal. Now, let's look at this through three different lenses. From a conventional medicine perspective, insulin resistance is primarily understood as blood sugar regulation problem. The focus is on lab values such as fasting glucose, HbA1c, and sometimes a glucose tolerance test is ordered. And typically, it becomes clinically significant when blood sugar starts to rise into the range of prediabetes or conditions like type 2 diabetes. This approach is essential for diagnosis and disease management, but it often captures the problem later in the process, after the body has already been compensating with higher levels of insulin for some time. From functional medicine perspective, we look earlier and more broadly. We ask what is happening before blood sugar becomes abnormal, because long before glucose rises, insulin levels may already be elevated, a state often referred to as hyperinsulinemia or hyperinsulinemia. And insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone, it is also a fat storage hormone, a signaling hormone, and it plays a role in inflammation, lipid metabolism, and hormone balance. This is why insulin resistance is often associated with patterns like central weight gain, elevated triglycerides, low HDL, and conditions such as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Is also strongly connected to hormonal conditions like PCOS, where insulin can influence androgen levels and reproductive function. So in this lens, insulin resistance is really a communication problem between your hormones and your cells, affecting multiple systems, not just your blood sugar. Now, from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, we use a different language, but we often see a similar pattern. This TCM does not use the term insulin resistance, but it describes this as a problem with the body's ability to transform and transport nutrients. In TCM theory, this is related to the spleen system. When this function is weakened, the body may receive nourishment but not process it efficiently. Over time, this can lead to what is described as dampness or phlegm accumulation, not from the lungs, okay? An internal state where things feel heavy, slow, or stagnant. Clinically, this may show up as fatigue, heaviness, bloating, brain fog, weight gain, and cravings. Same symptoms. Stress can further contribute through what is described as liver Qi stagnation, which disrupts the flow of energy and worsens metabolic patterns. So, while the terminology may be different, but the underlying observation is that the body is not efficiently converting into usable energy. When you bring these three lenses together, you begin to see a more complete picture. Conventional medicine sees the changes in the blood sugar. Functional medicine sees the earlier changes in insulin and metabolic signaling. Traditional Chinese medicine sees the pattern of imbalance in how the body processes and distributes energy. And this is why insulin resistance is not just a blood sugar issue. It is a deeper issue of how the body communicates, adapts, and maintains balance across the multiple systems. It sits at the intersection of metabolism, hormones, inflammation, and energy regulation. So, over time, this pattern is associated not only with diabetes, but also it can give you metabolic syndrome, fatty liver patterns, higher cardiovascular risks, and broader chronic disease processes. But more importantly, it often begins silently. So if you have ever been told your labs are normal, your fasting glucose, your A1C, but you do not feel like yourself, low energy, persistent cravings, difficulty managing weight, or hormonal changes, this is where we begin to look deeper. Ask your doctor for your fasting insulin. So, not just at whether something is out of range, but at how your body is functioning as a whole. Because the goal is not just to diagnose disease, the goal is to understand the pattern early, to recognize the signals your body is giving you, and to ask better questions before those patterns progress. And that is really the heart of what we do here at Root Cause CSI. Because at the end of the day, diagnoses are just labels. You can have labels after labels, but they are not the full story. Healing begins with investigation. You always have to find the root cause to fix the problem. If this episode helped you understand your health in a different way, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And if you're ready to go deeper, to understand your own patterns, your labs, and what your body has been trying to tell you, you can explore all my educational resources, or you can DM me. This is Root Cause CSI, where we don't just guess, we investigate. Thank you for watching.